Suresh Kumar is the Business Transmission Line and Head HR at L&T IDPL. He is, of course, part of the core group of L&T IDPL's top management. Uh, he is also the director for 7 subsidiary companies of L&T IDPL. Now, PGSK is known for his managerial skills and really a very practical approach that he has. He's been actively involved in redefining the infrastructure landscape. He is known for taking up challenging assignments, and the most recent one being the implementation of Kudgi Transmission Limited, which was considered to be challenging considering its ROW hurdles. He took up the task and successfully charged the line and also ensured revenue flow. We are going to be speaking to PGSK to really get his insights on aspects that he thinks is important when we look at the whole aspect of collaboration. Now, an important bit that we are going to be looking at over here is really the growth mindset. And the growth mindset is a concept that was introduced by psychologist Carol Dweck from Stanford. And it was found through research that individuals and students who believed that their talents and intelligence could be developed outperformed those who believed that their ability was basically fixed. And when you have this kind of a mindset, what is found is that there is a readiness to learn, there is energy and engagement, there's a possibility of spotting possibilities, and also the sense of ownership. A deep sense of empowerment, and really results in innovation and collaboration. What we are going to be looking at is if these are all of the effects of a growth mindset, how can we really take all of this in and dovetail it into really looking at stakeholder collaboration? And therefore, in today's webinar, we are really going to be looking at what are the key elements of stakeholder collaboration. What is the role of the growth mindset and its influence? L&T IDPL's one-year focused journey to strengthen stakeholder collaboration. And we're going to be going a little deeper into how do you really bring this at an organization level into the culture. We're going to be looking at insights and learnings on heading dual roles of PNL and the people function that PGSK really brings onto the table. Now, with that, I am actually going to try once more to bring the screen back on Mr. Suresh Kumar. My apologies earlier. I think there was a bit of a technical glitch when we were trying to show you the presentation, but my screen and the platform only wanted to stay with Mr. Suresh Kumar. So welcome, Suresh Kumar. Thank you for accepting this invite, and we are really looking forward to this discussion with you today.
Very good evening, Pearl, and thanks for your invitation. Thanks for considering me for this webinar, and a big hi to all those who are there on the other side of the screen.
Fantastic. And also to just let all of our participants know, we are, of course, on the YouTube platform. And during the discussion, if you would like to kind of add in any comment or if you have any queries, please feel free to just type it in the conversation or the chat box. And we will then be happy to kind of check that out and answer it accordingly. So to start off with PGSK, you have had a very interesting career that covers business and HR. Tell us a little about your background and describe to us your current roles at L&T.
I'm a metallurgical engineer. I belong to 1987 batch of engineering. That is, I joined engineering in 82 and passed out in 87 from what is now known as NIT Jamshedpur. In those days, it was called RIT, then the name changed as REC. Soon after finishing my engineering, I joined Ennur Foundries, which was part of the Ashok Leyland group. It was later on taken over by the Hindu Jazz. The name also got changed. Earlier, I was in the production, taking melting steel, iron, aluminum. Then I moved to sales, selling automotive castings. in 1992, I joined L&T.
Right.
I wanted to join L&T and I pursued and then I made it. And at that time, I belongs to a group called Group 10. That was much before even people may not be aware. The youngsters and the lateral recruits, they all are familiar to the new structure of L&T. So I belong to the old group. And I again started my life. But this time, instead of automotive castings, I was selling industrial castings, all big, big things. But my eyes and my mind was in bigger things. I wanted to move to projects, and I was wondering how to do it. But that is what is the DNA of L&T. If you have the desire, you can pull work and work. So I went and opted for it. Say they moved me to system selling. That is from unit selling castings to I moved to selling crushing plants, and then I moved to concept selling. I never thought when I was doing my engineering that one day, though I have studied metallurgy, I will be part of a big cement plant, power plant, mineral beneficiation plant, even putting up a port, coal handling plant. So such was the experience with me. But in the year 2005, once again, I was restless. I wanted to sit on the other side of the table. I wanted to move and wear the HR hat. So I told this to my guys, L&T once again, they are willing to experiment if you are willing to do things and take responsibility. So there was a program which was sort of an executive program with XLRI. So I went back to school once again in 2005, competing with all these youngsters at the age of 40
Oh, fantastic.
for on and off. That is 18 months on off in the sense that 15 days you have to be there at Jamshedpur XLRI. It was sort of a going back home to me because I'm from Jamshedpur Engineering College. So it was a nostalgia for me, an experience for me. So soon after that, I was waiting, and there was an opportunity to move into the organization development for organization build up for the investment wing of Lawson and Tubro, that is L&T IDPL. Then it is free flow and a growth trajectory from big project investment, and I was moved to be part of the core committee, which decides the policy on investment and people related things. So here I am from unit selling to investment business. So that is my role in short. Yes, I am having the dual responsibility of business as well as HR.
PGSK, I think that's brilliant. I think it's a very interesting and a very rich journey, really, that you have had so far. And I'm going to take picking in really from that last sentence of yours. In your complete experience now, in terms of the types of businesses, and also in this role of handling both P&L and the people function, what are some strategic insights it has given you? And what has really been the impact? How has it helped you?
Right. Uh, Fine. These are all my views and my perspective. I'm so sure I have those people who are listening, they also must be experienced and they also must have come across such perspectives and things or met people who have seen things and done things. So, disclaimer is
Yeah.
these are all my experiences and my views. Fine.
Sure.
When I got this dual opportunity, the truth which descended in me was whenever I play the line function role, the business role, I wear the HR hat first and then think what it is.
Brilliant.
People are very, very important. So I wear the people hat. Whenever I am playing the HR responsibility, I play the business role first. However, my advice to everybody is if you are aspiring to be a leader, wear the business hat first and very quickly learn and pick up the art of wearing the HR hat also. So that is my strategic perspective for those who are aspiring to be a leader and those who are planning to and aspiring to head a business. Yes, you should know how to switch that hat of business and HR, but first in the order is always business. Then comes the HR.
Interesting. PGSK, I'm also going to ask you, you going back to studying, formally studying, as you said. I think that that really is a demonstration in a way of the growth mindset, the readiness to learn. In your perspective, what are some behaviors that leaders can show in embracing the growth mindset? And what are some things that leaders can do to enable this growth mindset within the organization?
Today, most of the leaders are busy and occupied with a syndrome called Kra syndrome.
Interesting.
They want their people to adhere to what has been, I assume, mutually discussed and agreed,
Mm.
KRA. So people are running after KRA.
Mm-hmm.
And people are, most of the time, are in firefighting mode.
True.
The learning opportunities, experimenting opportunities are either not there because of the bandwidth issue,
Mm-hmm.
or the
Right.
himself is so engrossed into the problem, he is so close to the problem, he is not realizing that investing on his own resource, including himself, on the development aspects, are totally put into the back seat.
Yeah.
So this is one behavior all the leaders should exhibit. One, they themselves should be on the learning curve continuously. Two,
Nice. Yes.
they should invest in their team and give them opportunities to experiment and learn. Talking about learning, my takeaway in my life is I believe in a structured learning. That is the reason that even at the age of 40, I went back to school. I sat in the classroom, I studied. I agree with you. There are several ways of learning: experiential learning, reading, or
Mm-hmm.
wisdom talk, but nothing like going back to the classroom, because that gives you a discipline and you are compelled to do things, your assignment,
Right.
whatever projects you have to do.
Right.
Whereas other things, it depends on the individual. So if I am talking about those leaders who
Right.
have no time for other things except firefighting, I
Right.
don't, they will do justice if they pick up experiential learning or
Mm-hmm.
reading or wisdom talk. I don't think they will do justice. So this is
Mm-hmm.
my suggestion to people, that what behavior they should exhibit in their team is this. Of course, there are so many things, but
Sure.
I want to restrict to this in your question.
Sure. I think that's very interesting, PGSK, when you look at two aspects. One, when you're, talking about the whole uh, firefighting syndrome that we all find ourselves in. Secondly, I really like the word that you've used of the KRA syndrome, and everyone really running after their KRAs. And therefore, is there the time and the flexibility to experiment, which is important and key, I think, for leaders to keep in mind. I'm going to dig in a little deep over here, Mr. Suresh Kumar. When you were in your introduction, you also mentioned that you kind of wanted to get onto the other side, and that was the whole people side. And that's where you kind of let L&T know that you went and you got yourself trained, and you came back, and L&T said, yes, if you want to experiment, if this is the area that you kind of want to focus on, they did back you and they gave you that opportunity. Can you tell us a little more about that? And more importantly, what are some things for managers to keep in mind so that they can also give their employees opportunities, or the right opportunities? How do you spot these kind of opportunities?
Fine. You have to bear with me. It may be sounding like a small story, keeping
Sure,
the time also in mind. And
sure.
will make an attempt to answer to you in the form of a story, which is nothing but my own story.
Brilliant.
Soon I completed my postgraduate diploma in human resources at XLRI.
Yep.
I was waiting for the right opportunity. At that time, the then chief executive and managing director of this company, Mr. K. Venkatesh, was looking for a person with infrastructure background and also a person who is a degree holder in human resources. So when he was there, I raised my hand and said, "Try me." That was the time that he didn't even hesitate. He trusted me and took me on board.
Nice.
The purpose and the objective at that time was to build the organization. And what I'm talking about is year 2004-5. That was the time L&T IDPL was roaring to go. And that was the time the economy was also comfortably placed, suitably placed. So we went on winning concession after concession, and we started building up the team. What was at that time from 85 small, we crossed 1,000 plus.
Oh, lovely.
That was the time that we took the company to the peak. And one element there was my willingness to experiment and offered myself, and it was the trust that chief executive and managing director had in me.
Right.
For that matter, I am not a tested and proven resource. He could have selected someone with a proven track record in HR. I am from engineering background, from a line background, and he trusted me and he took me. And that was the time that I realized the power of trust.
Nice.
So things went on, and we did whatever we have to do. And then comes, I was party to so many committees, various committees which decides and rolls the policies here in this company. So I was very close to things. I was picking up the thread on the business. There was the time when I don't want to go into the detail in the interest of the time. There was a business need, and there was a person required to head the business. Once again, that I volunteered. This time, again, try me. Again, the same. He again took the risk. He trusted me.
Right.
Gave the hat of a business head.
Lovely.
For it, and the ecosystem was good to me. God was good to me. My team was good to me. Yes, we had several challenges when we were executing that project, and today it is a success story. In turn, when I was to select a project manager, I selected one of the section in charge.
Right.
Person turned out to be the person for the project. He proved to his credit, and even when we had some rare phenomena, rare events which has happened in the project, he rose up to the expectation, and he met more than the expectation. That is, I trusted my resource. Similarly, in the HR also, in 2 years gap, I lost. In the sense, people decided to move ahead, and 3 of my deputies, one after another, resigned.
Right.
I again trusted one of my younger resource team member. Again, he rose up to the expectation, and he has also done. In these many years, I never had a senior deputy person.
Oh, fantastic.
This person did whatever we expected in the field of HR.
So brilliant.
This is how the power of trust works in L&T, and failure is a way of life. In fact, if there is a failure in L&T, the culture is that it is encouraged. Fine, life goes on, go ahead, and such is the trust, such is the attitude towards failure. So it works as a sure recipe for success.
Oh, brilliant.
So the growth mindset we emphasize in the group of L&T.
Oh, this is a fantastic, PGSK, because I think, your focus when you said how is really trust built? number one, when failure is not really looked down upon within the organization. I think that is brilliant. And secondly, key point for me also is, the readiness to say, trust me, or try me. I think I can kind of make a difference over here. Give it a shot. So I think that little push and confidence from the individual himself or herself. And I think as a leader, when you spot that glimmer from somebody, people rise up to expectations. I think that's very interesting. Thanks so much, PGSK, for sharing that insight. And um, my next question, therefore, to you, PGSK, is according to you, what would be the main elements when you look at stakeholder collaboration?
I will tell three key elements: ownership,
Mm-hmm.
leadership, and drive.
Brilliant. Great. And a little more into, in fact, it's interesting, PGSK, that you mentioned ownership, leadership, and drive. And I'm smiling broadly right now because that's also the key elements that, of course, we spoke about in the 1 year journey that we worked very closely with you on in L&T IDPL, which was called the Bold Journey. And I think therefore, reason also why the name Bold resonated so very well with you and Mr. TSV. The Bold Journey, of course, was a 1 year journey that we had for 28 leaders within the organization and change agents. Tell us a little bit about this, PGSK. Why was this an important intervention for you? What has been the impact? And what are key elements that really drove its success? It would be interesting to have a dialogue on this.
Fine. I earlier in this discussion I mentioned about experimenting. Experimenting is very close to my heart.
Right.
Experiential learning is also part of my DNA. What I experienced and learned, I told you about structured learning classroom setup. So
Right.
that for me, so I decided, of course, in consultation with my core committee, that let me bring in together in sort of a classroom setup. That was
Yeah.
the pedagogy that we have decided. Of
Yeah.
course, consultation with Mr. Leslie and of course you, the pearl of the thing. We decided to bring in cutting across functions, sub-functions, department, 28 of our senior resources, that is
Mm-hmm.
from project finance, operation, maintenance, engineering, HR, legal. We brought these guys together for one main purpose, that is for cohesive working. The entire theme was intertwined in such a manner that they come together, they meet in a classroom setup, they go through these programs for the full 1 year. That is, they have to meet every 1 month. Every month they were to come here. And what brought them together is, yes, otherwise they are separated, geographically. Pan-India, their presence is there, but they are all responsible for specific function. And at times, on the need, they come together on the electronic mode, but
Right.
otherwise they don't come together. So this is one program that you have to necessarily meet every month
Yeah.
and go through a structured program.
Right.
And the theme of the entire program is how they can cohesively work.
Right.
Of course, I can talk in detail about the program. We leveraged on the power of Belbin. So in a team, it's not that they are going to individually contribute. These guys are leader material, and we made them realize that their self-awareness.
Right.
So in a team, how they are and what is that which is coming naturally to them in their style of functioning,
Nice.
whether they are all, in Belbin terminology, shapers or they are resource investigators or completer finishers.
Right.
So give them the understanding that who they are, how they are perceived by the world, and how
Right.
can they leverage on their team when they are working with a team. Similarly, on the leadership, we brought in the concept of grid. What
Right.
is the preferred style of working? Where are they? How they have to move, and what is the sound leadership style that what is required? So
Mm-hmm.
this really brought these guys together, brought their self-awareness, and they could also see and realize that how they are impacting the people when they are interacting with people,
Right.
group. So this is actually a recipe. In addition to that, you see, like another concept is whenever we tell our own children to change or advise, it's not going in.
Right.
So, so from that concept, we brought in wisdom from outside
Right.
who have seen things and done things. So such was the wisdom sharing which was done for these people. They came and shared their experience and their journey in their career, how they have done, what they have done, why they have done. So that
Right.
was another learning opportunity for these 28 guys.
Right.
Ultimately, what we have done, we made them take a sort of a oath, that
Right.
is action planning, and it was videographed.
Right.
So after full 1 year, it is not that a sort of a report card that what they have done, what they are going to do, how they are going to do was video recorded,
Mm.
and it was shared to him and with their managers. And today, as we talk, the feedback from them is improved cohesiveness, improved productivity, and these guys are ready for further responsibilities. See, their technical knowledge is taken for granted. If
Nice.
you
Yeah.
are a accountant, if you are engineer, we are not going to deep dive and ask you things and questions which
Sure.
for you are already holding a certificate. So
Right.
what we are looking at is how you are going to leverage that technical knowledge or that along with the necessary competency required, make it a nice recipe so
Right.
that you are a sure shot for a victory and a win. So
Oh.
that's how the bold journey was decided. Thanks to the Pearl group that they have very, very nicely facilitated and guided this. Thanks to you and Mr. Leslie.
Oh, thank you, PGSK. And I remember right in the beginning when we were working with you to put it together, I remember you insisting that it needed to be a design where everyone would meet and would definitely meet at least once a month. And I know you, I still remember you and Mr. TSP saying that they should come down to Chennai, to the head office, spend time together. And I think more and more we do see that when that happens, there is a sense of bonding and a sense of belongingness that gets created. And I think that really adds also when stakeholders therefore then need to kind of collaborate with one another. Yeah, great. PGSK, I also want to ask you, and I know I need to tell everybody this because I keep on calling Mr. Suresh Kumar PGSK, but that's also a name but that he is known by his initials. So, Mr. Suresh Kumar, when I'm speaking to you right now, um, tell me, and I'm coming back now also to you as an individual. We have seen this intense desire from your side to learn. There's always this questioning, and there is always the application of the learning. Even with the entire bold journey, we saw it. The elements that we used in the journey were all elements that you have actually experienced firsthand, and you in fact requested for some of the tools. Where does this passion for learning and new experiences come from, and how do you sustain it?
The moment I started my career, I in my corporate life, my boss, Mr. Kumar Vikram, and later on Mr. Bikas Datta Roy,
Mm-hmm.
I used to accompany them to customer visits, and I was very closely watching them. That's how I was trained.
Right.
They taught me that how to bring in the technicality, at the same time how to bring in the necessary elements on connect to people.
Right.
Unless and until you are connected to the person sitting on the other side, you are not going to win. You are not going to influence, and you are not going to even have the conflict management effectively. So you have to get connected. So when I followed them very closely, I realized they were masters in very many topics. That
Mm.
comes from intense amount of reading. So that's
Interesting.
how I was influenced. I started reading. But when I
Mm.
started reading, I realized
Mm.
subsequently to myself that is not enough. That I should also periodically elevate myself on what is happening, and I also should get all those things in a form of a certificate. So that is
Mm.
how that I decided to go back to XLRI to study. then
Mm.
then once after that, couple of years down the line, I decided that I should be a NTL certified person on organization development. So
Mm.
that's been a long drawn program for again 18 months, and it is a very huge program. Once again, I
Mm.
get my certificate. As we are talking, even now, I am
Mm.
undergoing, I am back to school in the sense I aspire to be an executive coach in the days to come, in the years to come. So I
Brilliant.
told myself with Coaching Foundation of India, and I'm just about to complete my postgraduate certification in coaching. So that is one thing. And being a resource investigator myself in the style of Belvin,
Interesting.
I keep networking and I talk to people. That is another channel and avenue available for me that gives me the knowledge on learning. So one is looking at people, people influence you, you learn.
Mm.
Two,
Nice.
yes, in a very structured manner. That's how I am built, and my DNA is that I go back to classroom, spend time. Of course, bandwidth is a huge challenge, but you have to do it. That's how
Right.
I learn. And the third one is you keep on talking to people and
Nice.
you learn from there. This is how my learning journey is. This is how I gear myself for everything.
Oh, interesting. And a comment that I kind of want to make over here. But before I do that, just a note to all our participants and everyone who's joined us on the dialogue. Please feel free to put in your questions, any particular aspect that you would kind of want to ask Mr. Suresh Kumar a little more about. Just key it in the comments section that you will see on your screen. The comments section should be either on the right hand side of your screen or just below the image that you see. I'm in fact going to request my colleague Jennifer to just type in a message so you know exactly where to post your comments and questions. PGSK, coming back to what you just shared, the bit about what I found was very interesting was, and also I'm relating this back to when you're looking at stakeholders, the need to connect with a stakeholder. And I think that's the beginning of any relationship. Um, and the whole bit of reading is, I think, in a way also showing interest in what the person is also interested in, and also kind of coming on to almost the same level. Would that be correct?
Uh, there was some disturbance in between. If you don't mind, just repeat it, please.
Yes, sure. I was saying the point that I found very interesting that you mentioned was that the connect is important. And that was something that you learned from your seniors, where they were able to build that connect. And that kind of is something that also got you into the whole reading, etc. And I'm guessing that is almost like a conversation starter to get people almost on the same page. Would that be correct?
Fine. The response I'm going to give, I am so sure many of the uh, modern and the millennial aspiring HR professionals are not going to like.
Okay.
Digitalizing is very, very important.
Right,
Make everything go into the digital way is very important.
right.
But what is happening is you cannot digitalize emotion. Emotion, everything. Feelings are everything.
Brilliant.
And I don't know, maybe, as I said in the disclaimer earlier, these
Right.
are my views and my perspective. Even in the MBTI, I am a ENFJ.
Okay.
That since because I'm having that license plate everywhere, I'm
Yes.
working like that. I have the social intelligence
Yes.
enough to display the other types also,
Sure. Yes.
and when it warrants. But what I'm trying to tell you here,
Yeah.
unless and until the connect happens, it
Mm.
cannot be a connect which will be on the electronic mode on your Facebook or on your Twitter or on your social platform. It has to be a interpersonal. So leader to his team member, the connect happens, then only the stakeholder comes together. The circuit is complete. You cannot have a circuit without physically coming together. Yes, it
Right.
can be on the electronic mode, but I have my doubt how far the other essential things. It is like blood in our body. Without feeling, without emotion, I don't think you can win over people. You can connect people. If the connect is not there, whatever is or whatever going to be the best programs, millions of dollars pumped in, I don't think it will succeed. So connect is very important. That is where is the starting point, the ABCD of the stakeholder management.
Oh, fantastic. And I think that is the whole bit when you're actually saying that emotions is something that is really important, and really emotions in business is important, because that's one thing that is not going to get in a way digitized. And therefore, for us to keep in mind that, especially when we're working with stakeholders, the need to set aside time for that face to face connect and to start building that connect. And then, of course, I'm guessing use what modern technology provides us to kind of take that further and assist the relationship. Now, one thing that that everyone, in fact, on the webinar right now may or may not know is that Mr. Suresh Kumar is also an athlete. Okay, he is a long distance runner and very committed to it. Uh, Suresh Kumar, you're also very spiritually inclined, but I'm going to take first the whole bit of sports and you being an athlete. Tell us a little more about that journey, and more importantly, what is something that the whole bit of being an athlete has taught you that you have brought into the whole collaboration and leadership sphere?
Fine. I started running from the age of 11,
Great.
and I love to run long distance. There is an analogy and there is a connect between my running and the working style.
Great.
I just don't give up.
Right.
Like
Great.
the destination, and that has become a habit, and it has started bringing the fight in me and the positivity in me.
Great.
So whenever I run, I imagine that I am in the middle of my project.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
just give up. So whenever I'm in the project, I imagine that I'm actually there in my running track.
Oh, brilliant.
So I don't just stop. So I keep running. So each one complements the other, and that's how I keep moving and moving and moving. And then this is also about energy and drive, and
Yeah.
this is also about discipline. What sort of a leader you are that you set a target you are not able to achieve. So that's how by doing it, I have a group. Whenever I run, I take a selfie and then I post it. People
Interesting.
are not aware, or people who are not that close to me may wrongly assume and think that it is another show off.
Ah,
No, it is a public statement that this is the target, this is what I have done,
oh,
this is what
brilliant.
I'm going to do. So this is a public announcement what I am making, a commitment which I bring in my in my task, in my dealing with my team, or in my project execution.
Brilliant.
Uh,
Sorry, yes, continue. Continue.
Talking about the other topic, which is faith
Hmm.
and everything around God-centric things
Hmm.
and the style of working, even in the race, I may practice, I may work, and I may do my conditional weights, cross training, to prepare myself for the race. But on that day when I run, it is not sure that only by my effort I will be able to finish that race.
Right.
It's the God's grace that I'm able to finish that grace. So is the same thing in my work, in everything. I put the best, but beyond that, it is there in the Lord God's hands. So everything starts with a prayer for me, and everything ends with a prayer for me.
Oh, that's brilliant, Mr. Suresh Kumar. And one thing also that struck me over here in your sharing is when you said, even when you run and you send a photograph, the whole bit of making a public statement and holding yourself accountable to it. As a leader, when you say, you set a target and you need to kind of reach it. And I think that's an interesting way of really motivating ourselves also. When we make or we share something publicly, we kind of hold ourselves accountable to that particular thing. So that was one kind of insight that I've kind of taken from this last sharing that you just did. So we are almost closing in on time. I'm going to do a quick check to see if in case there are any queries or questions or comments in. I'm going to make one more comment. So in case you'd like to share in your queries or comments, now is the time to do it because we're going to be closing. And in fact, the next few seconds are almost in a minute. PGSK, the point on really having faith and at the end of it, saying that you may set your target, but really the running, whether it's a project, whether it is really literally running, the completion really comes from grace above. And I think I align to that thinking for us to kind of remember what is the source of life in a way. Any closing comments or thoughts, PGSK, as we close the discussion? One or two main pointers that you kind of would like to leave us with or would want us to mull over, either in the area of being the best leader that we can, or more importantly also in collaborating with our stakeholders. What would be your 2 points if you have to sum up the entire dialogue?
First point is no one can do things on their own. They need their team.
Brilliant.
Team should be in such a manner that their talent should be challenging you, and you should have the humbleness to accept and acknowledge their talent.
Oh, fantastic.
That is the hallmark of a good leader.
Brilliant.
And the second one is energy. You should have very high energy, and it is again my own opinion, and
Sure.
that energy should be visible, the energy should be radiant, and the energy should be influencing. So that is what is a good marriage, that you have a good team and you are there to influence them and you are there to draw and benefit from them. These are my 2 points for everyone.
Oh, brilliant, PGSK. I think that's a wonderful summary, but and a key points to kind of to leave us with. I have enjoyed this conversation and dialogue with you. It's been insightful. It has also been energizing for me. Thank you very much for accepting this invite.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PGSK. And to everybody, have a wonderful evening ahead. We look forward to meeting you soon on another webinar. Good evening, everyone. Have a great evening ahead. Good evening, PGSK. All the very best. We'll speak soon.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.